How have you reconciled that? You know, you're such a proud American. You've contributed so much to America, but also your Chinese heritage, and reconciling between the two cultures. Even right now, what's happening, right? Even the trade wars and all these rumors of wars, etc. How do you reconcile that? Your Christian faith, your faith in Jesus Christ, you know, your Chinese heritage, your American heritage, um, and how have you kind of wrestled that and then brought it to the global church? I'm sure you've had an impact with a lot of Chinese Christians, which is the largest growing church body in the entire world. I'm sure you've had an impact and inspiration to a lot of those over there in mainland China and the Chinese here and the other Asians as well. How have you wrestled with that? This episode is brought to you by our Revo Report Patreon. Join our community to get first access to interviews, Bible study guides, devotionals, and prayer books for adults, youth, families, and marriages. Plus, resources on Christian living, leadership, sermon prep, exclusive Q&As, online Bible studies, and even one-on-one coaching or counseling. Visit patreon.com/Vince Revo and grow in faith and truth with us.
We have a China Bible project, Bring Bible to China. I work with Lifeway and translate Bible into modern young people, Chinese, that what they use the language today. And I'm on my way to China in a few weeks, and I'll be bringing lots of Chinese Bible to there. And it's not without risk. Also,
yes.
Bring Bible to China is very oppressed, and that many Christians are persecuted. Now, in terms of what's going on in the world today, you know, the trade war, the East-West confrontation, China-U.S. confrontation, and all these different conflicts. My take on that is it is driven by human need for power, control, and money. Human being, if we follow our natural instinct, is going down the deadly spiral of polarization, division, increasing fixation on differences rather than appreciating what we have in common. That's the behavior, the worldly behavior, if you will, following just human nature for power and control and money. My point is this: what a historical opportunity for all of us as Christians, whether you're from China or from America or Canada. You know, it doesn't matter race, ethnicity. We all have the ultimate common ground as Christians, which is Jesus Christ. To recognize what is unique about us as Christians, because we have Christ in our heart. We have Christ's teaching. With modeling after behavior of Christ, as described in the Bible. Christ is the ultimate common ground seeker. As I said, that he traded places by becoming one of us. And he paid the ultimate price by dying for our sin. He demonstrated the empathy towards the people in the lowest rung of society. So it's an opportunity for Christians to behave differently, rather than the behavior of some of the Christians who are actually some of the worst polarizers today. You know, somewhat different opinions, or even don't believe, yelling and shouting, demonizing the other side. What an opportunity, though, at this crossroad for Christians to behave differently, to think differently and behave differently, utilizing what is unique, our power, our weapon, our heart, which is Jesus Christ in our heart, that demonstrating as the model for loving each other despite the differences, demonstrate the model, the human behavior that we can work across political, racial divides, and ethnic divisions, and nations divisions to address human society's problems we have to address. All these societal problems, the gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, you know, international polarization, division, trade wars, and all that. So what I take on that is not just Chinese Americans, Asian heritages, or Western, it's all Christians need to recognize we need to fixate less on our differences among race, ethnicity, nations, but we need to focus more what we have in common, which is for all Christians with Jesus Christ, utilizing that to bring the world out of the deadly spiral of polarization to find common ground based on our shared humanity once again.
Wow. You know, the tagline we have of this show is to be a nexus of the greatest minds and voices in Christendom. And I do find that, sometimes we could be the greatest dividers, right? Not just outwardly, but inwardly as well, right? What would you say to those who are saying, hey, we're compromising here? You mentioned there that this is not a compromise. This is finding the common ground without compromising. But what would you say to those who are saying, hey, we're watering down, we're being soft on these things because for the sake of commonality, and we're compromising these things? How do you find the line between a common ground that is really centered on Christ versus compromise?
Yeah, great question. Again, common ground is not a compromise. Common ground is the seeking of truth. Common ground is not the end point. Common ground is the beginning point. So what I'm trying to say is common ground is not the end. Common ground is a process, is the means to reach an end. For example, I have this friend who I want to bring him to Christ for the longest time. Trying to invite him Bible studies, and he was not interested in all that. I couldn't get anywhere. Then I realized that I learned that he's a ping pong player, and I'm a ping pong player too. And so I asked him one day, I said, I heard you like ping pong. He said, yeah. So we stopped playing ping pong. So common ground is that ping pong, table tennis. That is the physical proximity, emotional proximity of an issue that person care about. So I use common ground to get close to that person, develop relation, develop interest, and then through that common ground, then we lead to ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is bring him to Christ. So we need to recognize common ground itself. It's not the end, it's the means through which we reach the end. In the context of faith, I see the behavior of many Christians in a very non-common ground seeking. When they meet a non-believer, say, oh, you know what you need to believe? Because otherwise you can be condemned. Oh, you're not going to be saved. Come on, human being, we all have self-esteem, right? Self-respect. The last thing I want is before I get to know you, you just put me down. You just have such a air of self-proclaimed superiority.
Self-righteousness sometimes.
Self-righteousness. Some Christians do window dressing. They will say, oh, bless your heart, but what's to follow after that is actually a demeaning statement. So the bless your heart, it means nothing. You just say window dressing. And then something, I'm not better than you, but, you're not safe. I am. Well, in essence, you still put that person down. So in order to be more effective as an evangelist, in order to be effective as a Christian, behave in an environment outside church, in an increasingly divided world, we need to learn the methodology. We need to learn the how to bring people to Christ. And that is through common ground seeking. So that's why I say common ground is not a compromise. Common ground seeking truth, meaning what is the truth? Truth is recognized at the end of the day. If you want to link or connect with someone, it is not by putting that person down. I want to pray with my patients when I start doing eye surgery. Or people say, no, you don't pray because non-Christians will not come back to you. I said, oh, that's true. So I hesitated, and I consult my church elders and pastors, say, the right thing to do, there's a price to pay. Price paid for the ultimate price for dying for our sin at the cross. So I decide I'm going to go out the limb, I'm going to pray. So I've done 55,000 laser vision corrections, including, as I mentioned, on over 4,000 doctors. And I pray with every single patient.
Wow.
For their eye surgery. Then, as a scientist, I always do research. So 1 year, I collected about 200 non-Christian patients. The day after, I asked them a question. So I conducted research. I did a survey. So I asked them, were you offended yesterday before your eye surgery? I prayed with you. All of them answered this way. They said, Dr. Wang, yesterday, I was very nervous. I was lying underneath the laser. And you did come to my ear, say, Eric, can I pray with you? Because I was told I had to be politically correct. I have to ask for permission. But these patients said, honestly, I was nervous underneath your laser. when you say, can I pray with you? I didn't dare to say no to my surgeon. And I said, well, it's true. I kind of took advantage of the situation, but I took advantage for God. I felt okay. But my question is, were you offended yesterday? I know that you're not Christian. That's why I asked this question. All of them said this way, and what they said really stayed with me. They say, not only I was not offended when you pray with me, I was moved. I said, how could you be moved when you don't believe my Christ? They say, the reason I was moved yesterday before my surgery when you pray is because in one of my most important moments as a human being, which is my eye surgery, I don't want anything to go wrong. You brought something that is most important to you, your Christ.